Hello everyone, I hope you've been well. I did a almost kind of cosplay in review last year and I really enjoyed it, so I thought I would do it again for this year. I've just gotten back from an amazing but very exhausting trip from overseas. We went to Italy and Germany, which was phenomenal, but I'm definitely feeling the time difference, and weirdly enough, in Australia it tends to get really hot during the kind of Christmas season, but it's actually been really cool, which is kind of weird. I mean, it's nice, but I do miss the hot weather. So I have my little eggnog here, my homemade eggnog, which is very lovely. A little bit sweet. I don't quite know why I added so much sugar, but it's fine. We're good. We're in the festive season, and we're just gonna have a bit of a chat about my cosplays and costume related stuff this past year. Now I'll be answering the same questions I did previously, and I've just added 2 more at the end. Again, feel free to answer these yourselves. Just enjoy and look back at the past year. I'm sure you've had some amazing times, whether you made heaps of costumes or only one. I'm sure there's a fond memory there that you can focus on. Alrighty, first question is, how many cosplays have I done this year? It's a little bit hard to count exactly, but it's around 35 or a little bit over. And then I also did a few kind of like alternate looks where it's not necessarily like a full costume, but it still involved getting some pieces together and still shooting and then editing the photos as well. I also did 5 original characters, which was something quite different for me. Every now and then I'll do like an original makeup look, but this time I went full on and just made 5 original characters, had so much fun with them. And then I also re-wore 3 past costumes I've made where I took a few more photos, or if I was like giving them away or retiring them, I just wanted to grab a few more photos. So let's go through them all right now. And I ended up doing more than I thought I would this year. I think the main thing there was Elden Ring really took over my life, and then at the very end of the year, if you're part of my Patreon, I did an Elden Ring calendar and I wanted enough costumes to fill it. So yes, that definitely made the costume number go up quite a bit there. Alright, starting off, so I did a Femme Gavin from Detroit Become Human, because why not? And then I did 2 versions of Dream. I did the Hell version when he goes down to see Lucifer. Then I did like a Fallen Angel because that's one of my favourite paintings. And then I did a smaller shoot of Mikola, which was really fun. Finally got around to finishing off and shooting Jason Todd, which was really fun. And then I also did my Death Stranding What If versions, where I essentially just kind of switched 3 of the main characters around. Had so much fun with that, and I love those photos. That was a very cool idea of mine and I just loved putting it together. I did Melina from Elden Ring, and then I also did another version of her. I did Rika from Digimon, did a chainy look from June, and then also Marika. And then I did another version of Jason Todd with like the kind of markings, which was really cool. And then I did, finally, Katara from Avatar: The Last Airbender. That costume was interesting. I went through so many different designs, but I just wasn't happy how it was translating to real life. Then I just ended up putting a bunch of stuff together and making it my own, and I really loved it. Blythe, which was my biggest costume this year, and then an original design of Umbreon as well. We had Senua, which I did for the medieval fair, which was very fun. I did Yennefer and another look of Yennefer, and then I did a few nostalgic costumes, ones that I always wanted to do but never quite did. So there was Rin from Blue Exorcist, Misa from Death Note, and then Queen Thaja from Fire Emblem. That was a very fun costume. I did John, so Superboy, which was really fun. I had like an Espeon onesie, so I wanted to take some cool photos and do some fun purple makeup. Then I did a Femme Takuya from Digimon. For Halloween, I did Beetlejuice look, which was great fun, and recycled a bunch of pieces. And then I also, again, didn't plan on doing this, but the One Piece live action show just dragged me right back into it. So I did a Mihawk and Shanks. I also fell down the FNAF rabbit hole this year, so I did a Femme Michael and also a Charlie look. I, for some reason, painted myself blue and did Rani, because why not, you know? Ugh. And then continuing the Elden Ring hype, I did 2 looks of Hyetta, and then I actually did a redhead Rani before she became the doll, which also turned out really cool. And then the last few costumes I did was, I've had a racing Tama costume for a while, but I finally shot those photos. I did a Chi look as well, going down that nostalgia, and then did a Saint Trina from Elden Ring. In terms of the original characters I did, so I have a few different ones here. I've got Xena, who's the dark-haired one, and then with the bow is Lucaria. The water bath shoot, which was just a time, was Echo, and then the fairy is Thistle. This is just a Viking look I did at some point. I wanted to work with some antlers, and then I have Robin, who's the kind of huntress character. I also rewore and reshot Ciri and Tama, which was really fun, and then I rewore Spock to a convention as well up at Gold Nova. So yes, as you can see, it was a really hectic year for me. I think because I fell down so many rabbit holes, kind of starting with Elden Ring and then FNAF and then One Piece, and then I was just so excited to create original characters. I think this year I was planning on maybe not doing so many, but you know, I wanted to have fun with it, so I just went all out. But yeah, it was good fun, and it's fun seeing all of the costumes together like that. Alrighty, number 2, what is my favourite cosplay? Which is always a very hard question. I think I have to say Blythe, just because it was my biggest build, it was the one I was most excited for. I did like a breakdown of his costume, and I mentioned that like just his story is so tragic and amazing that yeah, not only did I love the costume and the process and Elden Ring, but Blythe is a pretty special character to me, so that was really awesome being that too. The other one was Mihawk, because that was like a very literally last minute costume, and I had no idea if it was going to work, if it was going to suit me. I actually really loved how the photos turned out, and I felt super epic as Mihawk. I really liked Mihawk in the manga, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, just his sassiness in the live action, I was like, I gotta be him, I gotta do it. And then the other one is actually my Takuya costume from Digimon. This is probably a very obscure costume, not many people will recognize or know it, but you know, I love Digimon, we know this, and the 4th season is very much my favourite one. Because the characters have pretty simple outfits, I don't usually cosplay them, but this year I made it a goal to really do some of these nostalgic characters that I loved, and Takuya is one of my favourites, and we actually got to shoot on some train tracks, which, if you know the series, like the train system, I guess, is really important. That's kind of how they first get to the digital world. So being able to shoot on them, I don't know, just like the little kid me was super excited, and I was super thrilled with the photos. Number 3, what was my most worn costume? This is a tie between Blythe and Umbreon. Umbreon would have won, except that one of the days I was meant to wear her to a convention, I was a little bit too tired to cosplay, but that's okay. I got to wear her to a different convention anyway. The feedback on her was amazing. I didn't necessarily expect people, because it was just like my own original design, and it was a little bit thrown together, but everyone was so lovely. And it's the same with Blythe as well. Like, I've worn him a few times to a convention, photo shoots, videos, all of that stuff, and while he's a lot to put on, I mean, any armoured cosplay is, I don't know, just every time I put him on I feel so epic, like it's just great. And then yeah, just the recognition from people, you know, Elden Ring isn't quite as big here in Australia, but just like the amazing people I met in Blythe was just fantastic as well. Number 4 is, what is a new skill I have learnt? The stars like weirdly aligned, and I think there's a few other cosplayers who started doing this like coincidentally, but that's using puff paint on armour. When creating Blythe, I didn't necessarily want to like use foam clay or, you know, cut really thin strips of foam to do all his details, but puff paint worked really well, and I'm super pleased with it. The other one, which is a bit weird, is kind of my drafting skills when it comes to sewing. It's not perfect by any means, and I definitely will sometimes just do stuff instead of looking up how to do it, but I feel like I've gotten a lot better at kind of understanding like my body proportions, and you know, understanding darts better, I think, is the better thing to get things a bit more form-fitted. Usually what I would do is just cut out something super massive and then, you know, keep going in with the seams to make it fit me, but I'm getting a bit better at not wasting fabric and kind of getting a bit of a better fit for costume. I'd count this as another skill as well, but that's just getting a bit more creative with it all. I mean, naturally I'm a creative person anyway, but you know, I've always been someone who's pretty bad at sticking to reference photos. I keep wanting to add my own stuff or my own details, and because I did so many alternate looks this year, and I did so many original characters where you just kind of have to start from scratch, and especially my Death Stranding What If, where I just had to really just essentially create these new characters, pulling themes and ideas from other ones. I don't know, I'm really pleased that I did so many wonderful costumes this year, but I also kind of did a lot of my own designs and my own themes as well, you know, around these characters that I really love. The next one is what was my favourite event from this year, and that is definitely AvCon. AvCon is like a kind of anime gaming convention. It's one of the bigger ones in Adelaide. It hasn't been on for a couple of years because of COVID and all the other stuff, but this was the first year it was back on, and I think AvCon was maybe getting not commercialized, but I don't know, it was losing a little bit of that really like kind of nostalgic spark that it brought a lot of people, but I feel like this year they really brought it back. We all didn't really know what to expect going back into it, but it was just so much fun. They always have the best artist alley, which I love. I don't know, I feel like you really get a community vibe from it, which definitely happened again this year. I mean, just talking to everybody, catching up with friends, just going around, it was a really phenomenal event. I think I kind of pushed myself a little bit too hard on the first day, so I had to take the next day a bit easier, which initially I was a bit upset about, but I actually had so much fun that day anyway. I don't know, I think because I've been going to the convention for like 10 years, something like that, right? It really is a special convention for me, but I think it's really interesting experiencing it from like an older point of view now as well. But I don't know, parts of it still make me feel like I'm just a nerdy kid hanging out with my friends, and I'm in a community that, you know, where we really understand each other and we're just having a great time. So yeah, I really felt that this year, and it was just so much fun. Number 6 is what was my favorite cosplay moment. This one, which was a bit unexpected, we went to a very small con called Anime Go, and I wore my Shanks costume. I don't know, it really reminded me of like those really early conventions I went to when I was just like, you know, at the start of being a teenager. My friend and I went not really knowing what to expect, but I don't know, we just had some amazing conversations with people, just talking about conventions, and again, this idea of being around like-minded people. But wearing Shanks was so good because the live action had come out. It was this strange phenomenon where like people like me who were super into it, but I haven't really read it in a couple of years now, you know, kind of brought me back into it. And then there's new fans and then old fans, and I don't know, just bringing everybody together and talking to like people who had just watched One Piece was so great. There was a bunch of kids dressed up as One Piece, so that was so awesome to see, and we were super keen to see each other in costume. I don't know, I think because I didn't expect much from it, and I didn't necessarily expect my Shanks costume to be so well liked, I don't know, it was just such a great experience, and I'm so pleased we ended up going. And yeah, it was just so great chatting about One Piece to everybody. Now, one of my favourite questions, and what is my favourite prop from this year? Now, as you know, I love my props, love my swords, so I've got a couple of things I want to share. Number 1 is my little Foxy mask from FNAF. This costume I had planned to do it a bit earlier, but then I got sick, and so I wanted to do it before the movie came out. So this was a bit of a rush job, but I am so pleased with how it turned out. This was a really cheap, like paper mache, I guess, mask that I found at a cheap store, cut it to pieces and added these details and painted it. But I don't know, I think it looks pretty good. Don't get too close to it, but I don't know, I loved how it looked, and I loved it with my Michael costume, and yeah, we love Foxy. The next one was my Tharja spellbook that I made, which is this guy here. Excuse the reflection there, but as I said, Tharja was one of the nostalgic cosplays I did this year. I wanted to cosplay her so much when I was younger, but you know, it kind of wasn't the right time. I didn't have quite the right confidence or anything like that, so doing it now was amazing, and I don't know, I just love how this turned out. And then of course I could not talk about this big guy here. It's not even going to remotely fit in frame, but you know, my wondrous great sword from Elden Ring. Maybe if I hold it up, there we go. This this was a time once I painted it and did all the detailing, like, oh honey, she's a big one. The great thing is it's not actually that heavy either, so I can hold it up. I'm not the strongest person, so I can lift it and look cool in photos. Doing all the detailing, the painting, all of the different like highlights of everything, the soldering for the runes, the blood splatters, the kind of handles here. I don't know, I mean, this is just a freaking awesome prop, and this is definitely one of the things that I loved making the most this year. Next up is what was my most challenging builds for this year. Obviously it's gonna be Blythe. It's a bit weird because though I'm quite comfortable making armor nowadays, but I tend to go to more of the like WoW style armor, which is a bit different from like Blythe's armor. I know that sounds weird, but the shape of it is a little bit different, the attachments of it all, especially the breastplate, because it wasn't just like a cute little, you know, half chest piece from WoW, which are very easy to make and attach and wear. This was a full big guy, so I had to get all the patterns and make sure everything fit correctly. I think I tried that thing on like 60 times and then kept adding or cutting foam till it fit a bit nicer. Attaching armor is always a bit of a tricky thing because it's this balance of I want to look really cool, but I still have to be able to move around in this costume if I'm going to wear it to a convention. So I think I did the best I could, making it wearable but also look really cool. I think my Senua costume was also a little bit challenging. I kind of don't really use patterns. I tend to draft most of my own stuff. So getting that to be nice and fitted was a bit of a challenge, and just figuring out how I was going to do like the chest detailing or, you know, adding any of the different accessories she's got. So it wasn't like as complicated as Blythe was, but it definitely still had a few aspects where I had to use big brain energy to figure out how I was gonna was I gonna use a zip or straps or anything like that. So very pleased with the outcome, but that was definitely another thing of trying it on and off just 100 times to make sure that it fit and it looked really nice. What are my dream costumes / photo shoots for next year? For photo shoots, I have a alt Triss outfit, her one from the DLC, which I love, it's iconic. Luckily my Patreon supported that one for me, but I would love to shoot it. We've got this little place called Carrick Hill near us where it is essentially kind of like an old manor that's now more of a gallery or a museum, and then they've got these lovely gardens. That's actually where I shot my dream costume, but I think that would be amazing to shoot Triss there. So yeah, it's this weird gamble of like going when it's a nice day, but then it's not too busy either because there's only so much gawking I can take. Another costume I really want to do, and this is a little bit random, but I love the Stormlight Archive. I've done a Kaladin costume and I've done Jasna, but I really want to do Sylphrina, but her in the Bridge 4 uniform. I don't know, I've seen some really cute fan art of it. I have this super old jacket I got from someone, which would be like a really nice base for the jacket. I think that would be really cool. I'll have to work out exactly how I'm gonna do it, but yes, I think that's definitely a dream one I'd love to do. And then the next one, which I have materials for but I haven't started yet, is actually a Loki costume. If you know me, that probably sounds really weird because like I love Thor. Thor was my first Marvel cosplay, one of my favorite Marvel characters, and like, I don't know, he's the best. And I've never been a mad fan of Loki, but just the TV show, the first season was quite good and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm liking this. And the second season, oh my gosh, so freaking good. So now I'm like, well, guess I'm cosplaying Loki now. You've done it, Marvel. You've made me become a Loki girl. You've done it. But yes, I kind of want to do his, or a variation of his kind of design in the very last episode. So I think that'll be good fun. I'll just have to figure out exactly how I'm going to make it, but I have the materials and I have the drive. So yes, that is a big dream for next year as well. Number 10, is there any new skills I want to learn next year? I think I actually did a similar goal last year, but something I want to continue doing, because I have done it quite well this year, is just reusing old pieces I have. As you probably know, I'm a big advocate for reusing costumes or recycling them, or, you know, partsing them on, trading costumes, whatever. But especially for me, I have so many good base pieces and so many things I've put time and effort into, and if I'm not going to wear it again, or if it could be used in a better way, I'm gonna reuse it, especially if I do continue doing more original designs and characters, which I have a bit of a project in mind that's got to do with D&D, where I think I kind of want to set this goal of only using things I already own or have made for previous costumes, but I'll get into that a bit more later. Now, I did add on 2 extra questions here. The first one being, what was my most recycled or upcycled costume? For me, that is actually Mihawk and Shanks. For Mihawk, the kind of cowboy hat I had on is actually my dad's from a long time ago, which I just spray painted black. The jacket is one I used from an original costume, and then I actually thrifted like a boy's like button-up shirt and then just cut out sleeves and sewed it to that just because of the design, thrifted the pants, and then everything else I already had. And then for Shanks, I again thrifted the pants and then the hat I already had, which was kind of handy. And then the sword, it's actually my Arwen sword, which I used a couple years back for Halloween. It means it's not perfectly accurate, but I feel like the details I added makes it look like a Shanks sword, so it worked out for me. And then the last one, number 12, is what was my favourite original design or makeup look this year. I feel like my Blue Rani turned out better than I thought it would, considering I have not used body paint in a hot minute. And then I really liked the makeup I did for Espeon, like all the purple and the gems and everything. That was really fun. And then probably the coolest original design I did was my Echo look, which was very kind of like siren, deep ocean inspired. This photo shoot, which I've talked about before, is the most chaotic thing. I took it in my bathtub. I took the photos, so I actually had to like set up the self timer on the camera, and what I would do is I would dry my hand, press the remote, kind of, you know, pose nicely, and then get up and fix the camera and then lie back down in the water. It was a whole experience, and I think because I was like, look, this is probably not gonna work, but I'm gonna try it anyway, and then I ended up getting some really cool photos anyway. So yeah, that was a big success and lots of fun. Alrighty guys, that is my cosplay 2023 year in review. Thank you so much for watching my videos this year, and especially to my Patreons as well. It's been phenomenal how much cool stuff I've been able to share because of all of you. Next year is probably going to be not quite as hectic cosplay wise. I've got a few other creative projects I really want to work on, but of course I'm still going to be cosplaying a little bit. You can't take it away from me. And I hope whether you're new to cosplay or you've been doing it for a really long time, you just continue to enjoy doing it, keep uplifting other cosplayers, enjoy your community, and just remember the main thing about cosplay is that you're having fun. Alright guys, until next time, bye!